We're
No
live.
food.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, no, I think my my graphics card is dying on my main computer because I was editing new videos. So I've got the video coming up for Monday on this channel, and the next video for my second channel. And lo and behold, it starts crashing, but it doesn't crash all the way out. It just crashes. The screen goes black. It comes back up, but any video assets are green or black, or they won't play. So that's telling me it's probably video card related. And it usually happens when I have File Explorer open or I'm transferring something in from File Explorer. It could be CPU related too. Maybe I'll just got to reseat my CPU and kind of put some new stuff on there. It's been a couple years. Anyways,
Paste.
hello everyone.
Ha!
Welcome. It's been a little while, eh?
Been a hot minute. Yep.
It has it's been busy, man. Like
Yeah.
you've been busy too. Things have just
Yep.
been kicking off. This is the new spring thing for radio here. Life kind of taking off for everyone. Me, I'm doing the same. Ken, buddy.
I think part of the thing is, and so I realized this week in speaking with a few of our other managers, is so we do it quarterly, right? That's our revenue targets are all quarterly. So
Yeah.
the way they do it, and it used to be different, it used to be more than this, but so the account managers all are encouraged and pushed pretty aggressively to try and get half of the revenue for the quarter signed on before the quarter starts. So
Oh,
March is
wow.
going to be a stupid busy month because you're going to get a ton of people trying to do renewals and trying to get money in the door. Because like let's say you've got a $2 million budget, which some markets do have for Q2. Then we got to have $1 million in the door before the quarter even starts.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's-
So the last month of the quarter is always kind of a nutty push.
All right. Well, I'm glad I don't have to deal with any of that anymore.
Yeah.
I've been busy though. The amount of so I go through this. This has kind of become a yearly thing for me. Actually, biannually, maybe twice a year, where I get kind of finished a phase, and November, December is kind of a phase on this channel because it's like gear, trying to get the gear out, trying to get the content out for all the stuff people want for the Christmas push. But then January hits and it's bone dry. Like there's nothing as far as the eye can see. And what ends up happening? That happens a couple times a year. It also happens, I believe, coming out of the summer, in around August, because nothing's happening. Everyone's out of town. So in August, it goes dry for a bit. And what I do is I kind of freak out a bit, and I get on and I start ordering things. I start contacting companies. Hey, I want to get a hold of this. I want to get a hold of that. And now companies are starting to call me, and I've got like this flood of crap coming in. And when I say flood of crap, I mean holy crap! I've got a lot of content to start shooting. New Zoom interface on the way. The I forget what it's called, but I had a meeting with them. 32-bit float, man. 32-bit float is the new term now. It's whatever. You can't clip it, dude. You can't clip it. So. Yeah.
which has never been a problem for 24-bit for people that know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, but this is for people that actually don't know what they're doing.
Fair. Okay, here's the thing. So if somebody releases an interface, and I know there are a few manufacturers that have already, but if there's people that release an interface that are 32-bit fixed,
Yeah.
then I'm interested. Then I'm interested.
Oh.
But 32-bit float, fuck off. I don't care.
After the flood comes. Yeah, no kidding, Liberty dude. That's how it is. Mr. Big Man Games, how's you going, buddy? And Shrimp, of course, how you doing? Also Clint Stewart, all the way over from Australia. It's like it's either super early or super late, depending on how bad your night was last night. Hopefully you're having a good one, man. Hades wants to know upcoming mics you're most excited for. This is actually the thing. I finally got a hold of Rode, and they're sending me the NT1. The new USB NT1, but it's USB XLR hybrid. That has me excited, and I'm not going to tell anyone why. A very, very specific reason, because that's going to be the core of the video. That microphone has the potential to change a lot of people's lives. The new NT1 USB. So I'm really looking forward to getting hands on with that. That's in the mail right now. Big man, I'm fine. Dragged my wife into my voiceover yesterday. Nice. I bring my wife in.
Nice.
She doesn't want to be part of videos anymore. Like, she really hates doing it. So I've been trying. I've been like, come on, everyone likes you. Come on.
Do you have her? Is it like a non-photogenic kind of thing, or like what's
No,
the?
she just hates doing it. She doesn't like being. She doesn't like this. She doesn't like. Yeah. She doesn't want to do this. She has no interest in microphones, no interest in YouTube, no interest in any of it. So she just said, leave me the hell out. I'm like, all right. This sucks, too, because she's kind of fun. Like, we do have a lot of fun with that. But, yeah, so 32-bit float that's the new thing that everyone's going to be pumping. And that is kind of the new, I think, 2023's big sales feature this year. And it's interesting because last year everything had to do with like setting gamers up by having the ability to route audio, by having to, so there's a lot of this stuff that's kind of coming that you couldn't get your hands on before. And I think 32-bit float might be that next one, the ease of use of 32-bit float. What I don't think a lot of people understand is how big their audio files are going to be at 32-bit float. Like, those things are going to be gargantuan, no? I don't shoot in 32-bit float, or I don't record in 32-bit float.
It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary. Like 16-bit, I mean, okay, I'll give that one to you. 16-bit's a little thin, especially if you don't know what you're doing with gain. But 24-bit, more than sufficient.
I agree.
So 32-bit on the DAW side makes sense because when you're mixing things together, it's nice to have the additional headroom in the box. But the nice thing about 32-bit in your DAW is you're not necessarily having to record every file in 32-bit. In fact, a lot of plugins nowadays, they oversample to 32-bit and then downsample both in bit depth and rate.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Like FabFilter stuff has, if I'm not mistaken, if I open up a plugin here, has a specific button for like oversampling, which reduces some artifacting in the high end.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Hades says it's always refreshing when she's on. I'll pass it along that Hades 19 said it's always refreshing when you're there. Maybe I need to just push a little harder because she was a fun. I also think it's underrepresented with a lot of mic channels right now is hearing a sample on a female voice. That's something I think is necessary because
so I think that's your in. Like, I don't know, knowing who Mrs. Dark Corner Studios is.
Yeah.
I feel like that's your in. That's focus on that. Focus on that component.
Beresford, thank you very much for that super chat. Hey, I'm in a good mood. Found out recently I'm getting a new job in September. Nice. Enjoy
Congrats.
some beer money on me. We will drink that beer, although I will have to. There's other news coming here. I'll tell you in a second here. I'll make sure that gets put in a good place. I appreciate that. What's the job though? What are you doing? Now I'm curious. The other news that I ran into is, remember, everything's been happening every month. I get hit with something that sucks.
Yep.
Found out what March is. March 1st, got a call back. So I got some blood work done for a physical. Okay, this is something you have to do when you hit about 40.
That's your annual, right?
Yeah. And it's like full workup, all that stuff. But you once you hit 45, you start getting a very intimate relationship with your doctor. And
Yep.
And the prostate exam. So that's all fun. Haven't had one yet. Looking forward to it. Gonna find a doctor with really small fingers. But the mock-up he does for the whole drug or the whole blood thing, I get it done and send it in. And he gets back to me. He's like, dude, it looks fantastic across the board. Except for one thing. Your sugars are a bit high. And he's like, a bit high enough where you're almost in the conversation to be in the diabetes end of things. So type 2. Son of a. So he's like, don't worry. You don't have to do much. He's like, you just gotta.
Are you're in the pre-diabetic range, I guess?
Yes, I am. So he's like, dude, you don't have to do much. He's like, but you just got to cut carbs. You know, you got to cut carbs out, fructose. I don't eat a lot of fructose. I don't drink beer. Like, I rarely drink beer. So I just literally, it's carbs. And if you know me, I literally, like, always have a loaf of bread stuck in my mouth. Like, probably on the daily. I love bread.
I love bread. Yeah, I love bread.
It's so
What's
good.
your? Are you like an Italian white kind of guy? Are you a multigrain? Like, what's your?
So I do like an Italian white, but I like fresh. I used to just eat the white gooey stuff. No. I've been switching it around. So we start on sourdough. I love me some sourdough toast with jam. So we switch it up. Like, I don't mind multigrain, but I've got to be in the mood for it. I like what multigrain imparts when the bread is part of like a sandwich or something. So there's more flavors intermingled. Like a grilled cheese with multigrain is. Anyways, so I'm cutting out bread and a lot of carbs out of my diet for the next 6 months, and then I got to take another blood test at the end of the summer to see if I'm.
So you're going on like the paleo basically, or like?
No, I'm literally just cutting out breads. Like most, like I'm still gonna have bread here and there, but I'm cutting out most. Mr. Big Man Games. I got my new mic a week ago, the Blue Spark SL, after watching a review of it. Man, that's an awesome mic. Sound is so much better now, and damn, it looks so sexy. You like that look, eh? I don't know if I still can't tell if I'm sold on it. That baby bottle or the lollipop, the lollipop style. Whatever though, it does sound fantastic. I'm glad you like it, and I'm glad I could help you make a purchase there. Beresford, working in a technology graduate scheme at a well-known bank in the UK. Technology graduate scheme. Cool. That sounds like a pretty cool job that makes a lot of money. Good for you.
I was going to say, I know what none of that means, which tells me that it probably pays quite well.
Yeah, when it's really like bland and you can't quite tell what it means, yeah, it's going to make some money. Got a half the price. Nice. Yeah, the anyone that's looking for a new mic, the Blue Spark SL has been on sale and at a really good price lately. Sun Turtle, hello from Denmark. Well, hello back at you. I have horrible GI issues. My doctor knows me too well. That's shrimp.
I'm starting to get that. I've just in the last few months, I've noticed my body seems to be less tolerant to just eating whatever, and I've had a lot of intestinal issues. We'll say.
See, it's interesting because I don't know if it's my body changing or if it's me just becoming aware of how my body reacts to things. Like, for example, I used to drink coffee all day. When I was a truck driver, I would literally have a cup of coffee at my mouth all day. And now if I drink more than 2 cups of coffee in a day, I literally feel like I'm bugging out. And I don't know if that's me just, getting sensitive to caffeine or something, or if it's literally my body going, no, this is how we always felt, dude. You're just too much of a dick to notice.
Yeah, I have that anyway, but it's because I don't drink coffee super often, which is ironic because I have 4 coffee machines. But
it's good coffee too.
Yeah. When I have one coffee, like today, I've been nursing this 1 cup in my trusty wide orbit mug all day, and I'm not even maybe 2/3 of the way through the cup, and I'm wired right now. I'm freaking dialed in.
What I'll do sometimes if I need to like an afternoon push, I'll have a coffee at 3 o'clock. And then I'm up for anything at 5. I'm like, let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. It's like cocaine.
Sun Turtle, yes, I do use a car. I have no idea what that was referencing from a last conversation, but yeah, I do have a car. Shrimp, my mom's diabetic, so is my dog. I'm worried I'll get it too. Carbs are my demise. Oh. Not super into sugar, but I like bread. And that's the thing. Sugar has nothing to do with. So the 3 things, and this is what the doctor told me. He's like, it's not about sugar like what you put in your coffee. It's kind of about chocolate, but the big ones are carbs like bread, fructose, which is candy, and the third one is alcohol. So if you can cut down on most of those, you're okay. So I'm still eating a little bit of bread. I'm just not having 6 slices a day.
The thing is regular sugar, if I'm not mistaken, is about half and half. So sucrose, which is sugar, is half glucose, half fructose.
Yeah.
But you'd have to eat a pretty significant amount of raw sugar. Now, things like high fructose corn syrup, which are used to flavor a lot of soft drinks, not good.
No, but I don't drink soft drinks. I don't eat candy. I don't most of my life is literally I like jam. And jam has fructose, so I cut out jam.
Yeah, but the amount of jam that you're going to be eating on a regular basis is probably not moving that needle.
You don't know me, man. I fucking like toast and jam. Toast and peanut butters.
Yeah. Are you a fan of? Do you do English muffins and jam at all?
Oh,
or is it just toast?
English muffins and jam, dude. Let's not talk about this because I can't eat it. Fuck. Uh,
Next week on the live, if we get we'll raise a certain amount of money on this stream, and if we get past a certain amount, I'll eat an English muffin with jam
aw,
on it in front of you next week on the
that's
stream.
mean. All right, if we get to $1,000, because I know we'll never get there.
Yeah, exactly.
If we get to $1,000, Dylan will eat bread in front of me on stream.
This is like the freaking what was that stuff that we did?
Oh, the Zip Fizz?
Yeah, this is like the Zip Fizz all over again.
Right?
We underestimated how quickly that pot added up.
This is $1,000 though, man. So think carefully.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen until we get to $1,000 on a single stream. Just so you know. Nuno, how's she going, buddy? Sun Turtle, bicycle is good for the health. I have 2 electric. Yeah, I actually bike a lot. And I've been since October, I've been a pretty rigorous gym experience where I've been going to the gym with a buddy of mine. And then once summer comes, I kick in the bike riding. I haven't biked for a couple years because just life has been too hectic. But this year, I'm planning on it to kind of add to the gym routine. So yeah, like I'm a very active person. The problem is it's not necessarily because you sit too much. It's because you have shitty diet, and I have a shitty diet, and I recognize it. So I am planning on fixing that, and I wanted to for a while. Like it's been one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I should eat less bread, and now I'm just focusing more on like eating a wider variety each time I go to eat, because I eat very standard stuff. Like every day I can eat the same thing every day for lunch and I'm okay. And my go-to for lunch has been pretty standard. I like a big piece of sourdough bread cut in two with some ham and a boiled egg, and that 2 boiled eggs really for each half.
Hey, you get your protein in there. That's good.
And that's the thing. So what I need to do is just move over to a higher protein, lower carb.
So I think somebody said keto in here, and it's almost the keto diet.
Keto approved bread in the market. Is there keto low carb bread? I would definitely be on that.
Totally. I mean, well, most like gluten-free bread is extremely like reduced in carbs, obviously.
Yeah.
But it also tastes like shit. So there's that.
And you know what? So that's the other thing is I'm not a foodie, but I'm not going to sit here and eat a fucking salad because my carbs are high.
If I have to choose between eat it, like, you know, and it goes for soda too. If I have a Coke or a Pepsi every once in a while, if I have to choose between drinking a shitty Diet Pepsi, not knocking anybody that likes diet.
No,
I know there
it's
are people
just
that genuinely
it's taste.
Yeah, it's taste. But if I have to choose between that or just not having any kind of a Pepsi, I'm just not going to have a Pepsi. Like, I'm not going to have a substitute. I'll just drink something else.
And that's what I did. Like, I like, one of my favorite side dishes is broccoli and garlic fried in butter. So I made myself a cup of broccoli and garlic fried with butter to put on the side of 2 eggs with a bit of ham. And all of a sudden, I've got a full meal. So it's just a matter of realizing what I can and cannot do with food. And I'm the type that if I can't have, I'd rather not. I'm not going to fill myself. If I don't want to eat it, I'm not going to. So a salad, I'm not going to eat for the sake of being full. I'm going to eat for the sake of, that was fantastic. So, and like cheese has no carbs. Shut up. It doesn't. It happens after 40. Sun
That's
Turtle,
a lot of cholesterol.
right?
Cholesterol, though, which isn't good for you.
No, but that's the thing. And this is because I'm a big egg guy. Like, I love eggs. My biggest protein that I eat minimum 2 eggs a day. Every day. I work out a lot. I stay in relative shape. And I asked him that, and I said, dude, how's my cholesterol? He's like, dude, it's like at the floor. You don't have to worry about your cholesterol whatsoever. I'm like, well, now you're talking. Like, now I'm putting extra butter on stuff. But it's the fats that don't, like, and that's been the dialogue over the past 10 years or so, that fats aren't the issue. They never were the issue. It's always been carbs. And
now that said, there are some rules of thumb with fats, like stay the hell away from trans fats. Number one.
Like
and then there's like polyunsaturated, and there's the different categories.
Most of that shit's and stuff I can't eat anymore, so I'm not worried about it. Like I can't eat chips.
I think it's the sugars. It's the different types of sugars that are the big thing now.
Yeah.
And especially like sugars, like sucrose intake and its relation, like long-term relation to heart disease. Like there's a lot of data points for that.
Yeah. I'll be careful here. This is jam time. Yeah. We're getting behind. Keto approved bread tastes like poo. That's what Ken says. I'm gonna
Yep,
take.
agreed.
I'll try it. I will try anything once. I don't mind. I do not like anything that doesn't have eggs in it. So like if there's a vegan bread, no thank you. I would rather not eat it. However, I will try anything basically once.
Do you guys do pasta a lot?
No, like so here's my other big crutch, but I just started getting off it is Mr. Noodles. I love
Oh, like ramen. You love yourself a good ramen?
I love ramen. I love ramen from the restaurant. I love Mr. Noodles. I love any kind of noodle you can get me, but they're horrific for carbs.
Yeah.
But I don't eat a lot of spaghetti. I love pasta, but I like fresh pasta. I don't, if I'm going to have pasta.
Freshly churned.
Yeah. Like I want, and I like stuffed pasta too. Like,
So I bring that up because I've tried like gluten-free pasta, and I'm just guessing because of the amount of squeezing and squishing it goes through anyway. There was a bit of a flavor difference, but the pasta sauce I make is so strong anyway that you don't even notice it really.
Yeah, I thought because like I would probably get the makings to make my own, and you can get the I think I might go there. I don't have a drive heavy enough for pasta, so like if this would be worse if it was like high cholesterol and I had to cut out salts and I had to cut
And cheese.
then I would be like, oh God, my life is over. This one I think I can get by in.
But like you said, your cholesterol was fine. It was your sugar that was not good. So.
Liberty dude, you got white bread, sourdough bread, garlic bread, butter bread, eggs on toast bread. Yeah, I literally eat all of the bread. I love bread. Like it's from a mental health perspective, and this is actually real. Like from a mental health perspective, bread is like my comfort food. Bread is like my alcohol. Bread is my drugs. It's the thing that like if I'm having a rough day, couple pieces of peanut butter toast. I don't know why, but it just sets the ship straight. And it's like there'll be times where like I'll have dinner at 6 p.m. and then like it'll be like 9:30 and I'm like, hey, I could use some toast. And I'll eat toast.
So you know, I'm kind of with like I just read Liberty Dude's my diet is 90% carbs, death before diet. And see, this is kind of where I'm at too. Like I'm at the point where I will make a certain number of modifications to mean I have a less painful death. Like if I can avoid having a heart attack by not eating certain things, I'll try to do that. But do I want to live a long, miserable life or like a medium length, decent life? That's the struggle, right? Like if I'm living to 140, if I have to cut out everything that brings me any kind of joy,
well, but
there any point?
But then you have to like. So the differential for me with bread is I'm still eating some of it. The differential is energy, and it's not so much like this is what I was saying with if it was my if I had to cut out salt and stuff like that and meats, I would be more disappointed because that's the food that also is comfort. It's just harder to make. So lunch today just took me an extra 15 minutes. That's more the issue. It's more time. It's more putting energy into the food. By the way, I also don't see that comment from Liberty Dude.
Weird. Yeah, it was like the third last comment now.
I don't have my third last is shrimp with y'all's Canadian is coming out. LOL.
It's right after that. It's literally right after that.
No, I got Ken saying pasta. Kind of gave it away.
So it's in between that and the shrimp.
That's weird. Liberty guys, if you're messaging and I don't see it, I apologize. I'm literally not. Let me go to top chat. Let's see if it pops up.
I'm in live chat.
Yeah, it's not even in top chat. I apologize,
Weird.
guys. If you're sending in a message and I'm not getting it, I do apologize. I literally have no view of. Oh, there it is. It finally popped up.
Oh, wow.
It literally just popped in while I was looking at it. Anyways,
Laggers. But it's kind of like I take the same philosophy as what Liberty Dudes talk about. I apply that to saving, right? You can save every penny that you have to buy a house when you're 40 and get hit by a bus when you're 39. And congratulations, you just lived a really shitty life saving for something that never happened. And then if you don't save any money, well, that's just dumb. So, I mean, again, no judgment towards people that aren't making enough money to be able to save, because that's a very real problem these days. But so I'd rather, it's moderation, like diet. It's everything you got to moderate and you got to balance.
That's what Poseidon says, right? Like life's too short, eat what you like in moderation. And that's where I'm going with this. Like I talked to, I've got a meeting with a dietitian set up just because, you just want to make sure you ain't going to die, right? Like, that's the thing. Type 2 diabetes isn't the end of the world, but at the same time, if you don't get it, that's even better, right?
Did it run in your family at all? Like, do you have any relatives with?
Everyone asks me this, and I got to tell you the same thing. So my family sucked. My family didn't talk about anything. My family,
I'm not surprised from what you've told me.
Yeah, so my family was horrible, and I don't know. I know my mom had some heart issues, but I don't know if that was her or ignorance or if it was type 2 diabetes. I don't know. And I wish I did. Like, I wish I could go back, but I don't talk to one side of my family. Like, my mom's side, they don't exist. They're gone. My dad's side, he's a jerk. I haven't talked to that side of the family in probably 25 years. So I have no idea. And I wish I did, which sucks. By the way,
so just so we could meter your carb intake. So you buy a regular loaf of bread. How many days would it take you to go through that loaf of bread?
Before I say that, I got to point out, I've been staring at this for the last little bit. I keep forgetting. Midnight Wolf, thank you so much. Member for 17 months. That's incredible.
17 months. Yeah. Wild.
Just that alone, I think you helped buy the Spark SL. So I appreciate that. So metering for bread, it depends. So if I buy a loaf of white bread, it'll sit there for probably 3 weeks.
That's not bad.
Good chunk of French bread, like a stick of the what do you call it, the long sticks, the baguette,
a baguette, yeah.
A really nice French bread baguette, freshly done. It'll be gone in less than a day. Like,
well, see, the
between the whole
problem
family.
with baguette is it goes rock hard like within a day, so you don't really have a choice. So usually, I'll only buy a baguette if we're having people over and I've got people to share it with, because otherwise I'm pounding through this thing with my girlfriend, and it's like
little trick. Get paper bags you can get from like grocery stores sometimes.
Yep.
Keep a couple around, and if a baguette goes really, really, like if it starts to go gross and hard on you, put the baguette in the bag. Run some water over the bag and throw it in the oven at about 250 for about 5 minutes. And you'll take it out and the baguette will be soft as hell.
Ooh,
like a baby's
that's a good
butt.
trick. I'm gonna use that.
It basically puts the moisture back into the bag.
Which makes sense. I've tried a few things. I tried steaming a baguette before, and it didn't really. It just made it.
Yeah,
gross.
that just makes it wet. When you make the bag wet and you like have the baguette in the bag, it kind of just infuses it. You don't want to leave it in too long or your baguette tastes like bag. So that'll eventually, if your bag starts to cook at all, literally it'll make your...
So you don't want the bag to dry out. You want to take it out before it dries out.
Exactly. Liberty Dude for bread to go with your wine. Oh.
So before I forget, so I got some questions for Aiden here.
Uh-oh.
And it's something I didn't tell you about. No, it's nothing bad. So this week I was approached for some advice, and so I'm gonna basically tell you the situation, and I'm gonna see if you arrive at the same conclusion that I did.
All right.
So here's the situation, and shout out Anthony if you're watching. This one's for you. So my friend Anthony is setting up a voice booth in his house. He was given an Aston Origin.
Nice.
Or bought an Aston Origin, one of those two, to use there. It's not the most happy with it, the results with it. I mean, the Origin is used a lot. It's a great mic, but I can understand how it might be a little polarizing for some people. So I said, okay, well, and he showed me his booth, and he's got sort of those long strips of, not the stuff from Amazon, but like the Long & McQuaid, like it's like the egg carton style foam. It's relatively thin. And I'm like, okay, so that's not going to do a ton.
No.
It'll help dampen a little bit, but nothing substantial. So I said, dynamic mic, number one, right away. If you have a not treated room, dynamic is going to do you better. And so he's talking about, because when those studio recommendations I gave you, we switched out from the U89i to the SM7B because we're estimating that we're not going to get any treatment in these rooms. So just that. And so he's like, well, would that be good? I said, well, the SM7B would. What interface are you using? And the answer I got was like an M Audio Air Hub, I think. And I'm like, nope.
No.
And actually, he's using an H4n as an interface.
H4n?
Yeah, like a Zoom. He's got the Zoom, using
God.
it. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, no, stay the hell away from the SM7A because it'll be pricey. B, because you're going to need a cloud lifter for like another $120. So we started looking at the MV7 as a possible alternative. Number one thing I said, just from what we've talked about, stay the hell away from the XLR port. If you're going to use it, use USB because it's way better.
Yeah.
And then that conversation went there. So what did we establish what the difference is between the MV7 and the MV7X?
Yeah, the MV7X has no USB.
Oh, well, what the fuck? But anyway, does the XLR sound better at least?
Apparently it does. I've never gotten a chance to play with it because Shure won't send me stuff until I get to a certain level on my channel, and that's fine. I'm not going to buy it.
Liberty dude, fill us in. You seem to have some knowledge on the MV7X that we don't. So how is it? Is there an improvement on is the XLR port output passable as far as audio goes? Like, can you get good VO out of it? Okay, all right.
MV7X
so Liberty says it better. So, but here's what I ended up saying. I said, look, the SM58 is basically almost the same shit. So I said, honestly, buy the 58. He has a regular flat pop filter. So I said, take off the sphere off the microphone so you're getting that high end back, and just get a 58. You know that we've proven unrefutably on this channel that you can totally get by doing good stuff with the 58. It doesn't look good, but it does the job, and it's $100. So that was my final recommendation, was just get the 58. Especially because in this case, budget is a consideration too.
One of the best mics, one of the best dynamics I've used if he's on a budget is the Fifine K688.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the RE320.
Oh, no, well, if he can afford an RE320, it's got better gain needs than the SM58, so you actually need less gain to push it. And if he can afford an RE320, yes, RE320 100%.
So what's the MSRP? 350 for the 320? What's the?
No, it's not even that. It's like it's 270, I think now. It's come down in price.
That's great, actually.
Oh, the SC DCM6 is a great option. Depending, I can also lend it to him. Is he in Ottawa?
Yep.
If he wants to try a couple out for his stuff, hit me up, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's a lend, it's not a have, because I need a lot of those mics for.
Yeah. No, but and this is someone that's very, very trustworthy. Trust me.
Okay, cool, yeah.
So you don't have anything to worry about.
But I would say, like, if you're super on a budget, I loved the sound of the Fifine K688, as long as you're not looking to use USB. Although
Did you do
a lot
a review of that? I don't even remember.
I was.
Oh wow.
So I was disappointed because the USB didn't work. But the sound on it was fantastic. Like I was really disappointed when I plugged in the USB and it sounded like it was, it couldn't set the sample rate. So it sounded like the mechanical clicking and all that stuff.
So in this case, I think a standard analog XLR mic that's got a decent output just to run into that H4n, that would be ideal. So I think either the 320 might be a good option if it's, and at 270, that's well within budget. So I might link you guys up, and then maybe you might, if you can lend him the 320 just to try out.
Yeah, I don't mind.
And then
I'll lend him the DCM6 too, because that one's cheaper. The SC DCM6, and it has the Dynamite preamp. So but that'll really help. Like the DCM preamp is, I believe, neg 127 or 128, and the preamp on the H4 is 125, I believe, neg 125. So the preamp on the DCM6 would be much higher. Just like a lot of Shure mics, it sounds fine, but not on my voice. Yeah, and that's the thing. MV7 I did find was, like, I liked it. It sounded horrible on XLR. I really wanted to try the next version, but I wasn't going to spend more money on a stripped down MV7. So
yeah.
Big Man Games, when my granddad cooked his mini baguettes for the first time, they were ready to go to war use straight away. Oh yeah, talking about the baguettes that they used to, the joke that they used to use them in battle. They put them in cannons as soon as if they weren't eaten. By the way, Liberty Dude, I appreciate the $20, brother. Cheers, man. I appreciate that. What was that?
I was gonna say, and I don't like our little banter back and forth earlier about the jam. Like we're not trying to drum up money. That was a joke. It was a joke.
No.
We're not mongering for money here.
Shut up, Dylan. $1,000 raised, and I'm going to literally watch Dylan porn eating bread. That's my porn right now, is Dylan eating bread. and it's got to be warm. It's got to have butter, and it's like drooly. Like that's what I'm talking about.
I will eat it so that it is virtually impossible for me not to need to wash my clothes after.
No, you're gonna have to wash your clothes after I'm done washing.
100%.
Yeah. Ugh, that got weird. So Liberty Dude also brings up the SE Dynacaster. If you got a few extra bucks, still cheaper than the SM7B. Has a usable EQ that you can change on it, and the EQ is actually really nice, and it still has the Dynamite preamp in it. And
so in this case, it's going to be used mostly for VO, and Anthony's got Pro Tools full on a so yeah, he's not going to need any built-in processing.
Okay, it's funny. H4n Pro into a computer with Pro Tools full, yes.
And from what I understand, the computer's quite the beast. So
I
it seems
tell
like
you,
most of the budget went to the computer.
I tell you what, if he needs, I might have an interface for him coming up in a bit. So
speaking of interfaces, what the heck happened to that Avid Mbox Pro or Studio?
They ghosted me. They completely ghosted me. I actually got Laura Jane Grace, lead singer of Against Me, posted that she was looking for something about an interface, or she was asking whether or not it was good, and I'm like, well, no, they completely ghosted me. I had a Zoom meeting with them and said, like, hey, man, this would be awesome. He's like, okay, so I'm going to check with my superiors, and one of three things is going to happen, and I'll get back to you at the end of the week. And then nothing. I texted or emailed him back, nada. I guess they just don't want to give it to me. But the thing is and I'll put money on it. They watched some of my reviews where I got a little rough with some brands, and they probably went, nuh-uh, this guy can't touch our shit. And that's the only thing I can come up with, because they were literally ready to hand it over to me.
Yeah,
but then they probably.
I mean, here's the thing: Avid, and yes, they've, and I probably shouldn't say this in case this does end up panning out, because they're going to watch this live stream, possibly. But Avid has made a handful of tactical errors designing their hardware. Not a ton. A lot of Avid's, especially their premium hardware, is quite reliable. And the quality is very good. Like if you get an Avid HDIO.
How much is an Avid HDIO?
Like $4,000.
Yeah.
16 in, 16. I mean, there's different configurations, but there's 16 in, 16 out. Analog is kind of the flagship, and like that's an amazing set of converters.
Yeah.
Oh my God, like some of the best I've ever used. The depth. Oh my.
For $4,000, they better be.
You would expect it. Well, I mean, compared to, back in the day, I think the Avid DigiDesign 192s, which are basically the same thing as they're just older version, are like 10 grand. Like it's just stupid. Like the price points of some of that like pro gear. But so like the thing is, as a company, you shouldn't be worried about reviews if you're actually releasing a product worth buying.
No, and reviews are your friend, because every
review,
every product that comes out. And I was talking to Zoom about this, because the first thing he was trying to make it very clear. He's like, dude, I am not asking for a positive review. I'm not asking for a baked-in review. I'm like, good, because you're not getting one. And like, I think they were a little put back when I told him. I said, I'll call you on your crap. Interfaces are really hard to screw up at the price point the new Zoom interface is coming out at. Like it's really, come on, it is really hard to screw up an entry-level priced interface.
So have they announced the release?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go look for it. Just give me 2 seconds here. It is the Zoom new interface. It's the Zoom UAC 232. It's sexy names. I'm gonna bust their balls over the naming convention.
I was gonna say, please do.
Like that is absolute trash. UAC 232.
And I say that I actually like Zoom as a company, not as much. Like I pledge more loyalty to Shure as a company. I like Shure more as a company than because I'm just more familiar with them as a company, and I've had more personal interactions with them. But I would say Zoom. Now, you and I, if you recall, and I'm not going to lie, I judge companies when they get like this a little bit. Like you and I almost collaborated on a review, if you recall, that shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
And that company didn't like what I had to say, because I had a bunch of admittedly valid but
Yeah.
not exactly positive. And some of them weren't even negative. There's neutral points, observations about the product. And they were like,
Yep.
well, we don't want that guy in there. And it's like, yeah, because I'm
Well, no,
basically.
because so their explanation was, we didn't pay to have a collaboration with you and him. We paid for you. So,
Yeah.
and it was kind
Well,
of
and it jumped out to me as a red flag because this is a
100%.
company who in their marketing is extremely confident about their product.
Yeah.
So it was surprising that they were getting so control-y about the content.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, let's catch up a little bit here.
Yep.
Big Mr. Big Man Games got a fine K688 and I started from it. Nice, decent mic. Just got a 3D printer, Ender S1 Pro. I'm a noob at 3D printing, but the printer just works. Have made the SM7B mod, looks good. Thank you, DSLR video shooter. That video gave my channel a massive boost back in August. And yeah, like he sent me one of the models, and I need to do some tweaks to it. So I actually thought about buying buying a 3D printer to develop my own microphone, just as
That'd be
kind
cool.
of just to mess around. I can use like a SM58 head or something like that, and just have it. I think it would be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's I think I want to start playing around with 3D printer. I just time, man, to learn that shit.
I have a sort of side note talking about microphones and stuff. Have you ever heard of a company called Colorware?
No.
So Shure is partnered with them, and they've posted on their social media about it
Oh,
recently.
that, yeah.
So you can get a custom 58, which I think is actually, I went on their website and I was looking at, they have a lot of really kind of cool options for customization. I would love it if Shure did a partnership for the SM7B. I would totally buy a custom snazzed out SM, especially because the price point is not that far off from a regular 58.
Can you put your logo on it?
I don't know.
If I can put my logo on it, I'm buying one right away.
Yeah.
Where'd that one go? I just saw it a second ago. It was Tiger Stripes. I bought a Samson GTrack Pro mic based on one of your own reviews. Thanks, man.
Nice.
Hopefully you liked it. Yeah, out of all of the USB microphones, that thing's a tank. Like, you can defend your house with that microphone. But yeah, awesome. Hopefully you like it. Sun Turtle Camper, what cheap audio mixer works good with live production? If you need an actual mixer with channels, multiple channels and stuff like that, you can't go wrong with the Mackie Pro FX series. As long as
honestly, a Mackie anything. I mean, like I've got a 1642 from the 90s, and it's my studio driver, and I've used it for tons of live gigs, and it's great.
I'm thinking that's what you mean when you go say live production, like music or stuff like church and stuff like that. A Mackie will do you great. And you can, like, the ProFX 12V2, I think is like $299. Like, it's super cheap.
I'm pretty sure I have one in a box somewhere, a ProFX, like a 12-channel board, and I used it for, like, I plugged into my phone, and I would use it as an interface essentially during, like, shooting videos. And it was way overkill, but it was decent. The reverbs on board were okay. The compression was kind of nice and subtle. It was good.
Yeah. Oh, this is an interesting one from Liberty Dude. Better to spend less for a good enough mic now and spend more on acoustic treatment for VO for future. That is so true. And this is the funny thing that I've run across a lot in some comments and stuff like that is people are launching VO channel or VO careers with $150 microphones. It's not the norm, but you could launch VO with an SM58 and be perfectly fine.
Yep.
Because for the most part, producers get the audio and they spin their magic with it.
Well, finagle with it all the time.
So if you have extra money, always room treatment 110%. Because if you have a situation where you can't even own, like your buddy, he can't even own a condenser because he needs treatment, scale back, buy cheap, get the room treated. That would usually be my 100% answer.
Yeah, and in his case, like, he owns his house more or less, so it wouldn't be an issue. See, for me here, I can't do anything too invasive because I don't own this place that I'm in. So acoustic treatment, sometimes there's some practical issues, and also in his case, He's trying to treat his mixing room, which is the priority because that's what he does for a living.
Yeah.
Whereas the VO thing, it's not as much of a priority. So I think he would much rather get a solution that works well for VO in the times that he does it, and then put the several $100s towards treatment in the mixing space.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm back here, Joey. Hey, buddy. I see some Midnight Wolf apparently pre-ordered. 2N 32-bit makes sense, but could it be a better name? Yeah, it makes such a better name. Joey, in my opinion, companies should send their products out to content creators during the development process so they can make changes before they finalize anything. There's no excuse for
treat them like a focus group. That would make a lot of sense.
I've been part of one for Mackie. I can't tell you what it's for until it comes out, but I was part of where they didn't send me the product, but we did they showed me it. They're like, what do you think of these features? What do you think? What other features does this need? Is this cool? And yeah, I think more companies should do that. Especially when you have, and this is when the Rodecaster Pro came out, and then a bunch of companies raced to the finish line to try to get something similar out. A lot of them missed the point of what made the Rodecaster Pro so good. And they ended up just releasing stuff that failed in ways that it shouldn't have failed in. The Rodecaster Pro was a hit because of what it did and how it looked and a lot of that. The Zoom L8, the first one that came out, was overcomplicated and kind of for musicians. And then they came out with the the P8. And the P8 was just, it didn't have features that it needed to be able to compete. If the companies had just stopped for a second, went, dude, what would you put on this to beat Rode? A lot of us would have been able to tell them. Like it has to have 48 kilohertz sample rate.
And I think the problem in a lot of these companies, and there's variables too, but like I think a big issue is there's always a tug of war between dev and sales. Because sales needs to make money and they need to hit revenue targets.
Yeah.
And if they don't have anything to sell, so I think there's a lot of pressure put on the development people to get products to market as quickly as humanly possible, which, as we know, is never a good strategy. That is never a thing that works. But companies still haven't learned their lesson and keep push. And it's like, well, you just release shit that nobody wants to buy.
Yeah, and the closest that came to the Rodecaster Pro was the Tascam, but Tascam delayed the release on that, and they delayed it to the point where they made sure they had what they needed, and it actually had a decent showing. Was it better? No, it wasn't better.
No, but it was competition. It was solid competition.
A cheaper competition, and they packaged it with a free DAW. Like how that? I mean, the free DAW not everyone needs, but somebody getting into podcasting probably does. So, yeah, there's a lot of that stuff. So let's skip it. Just make a striker with your logo. Not sure. Liberty
the other thing I was going to say when it comes to buying a cheaper mic versus buying a more expensive mic is, so when you're starting out in VO, your tone is going to suck.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how to use your voice, you don't know how to use your facial masking, you don't know how to use any of those resonant tools. So choosing an expensive condenser mic, as an example, when you're starting out VO is actually not good, because condenser mics are more detailed. Sometimes the lack of detail that comes from most dynamic mics actually will do you some favors, especially when you're starting out or if you're sick, is some of those nuances won't come through, which you want, especially when you're starting out. Now, once you get more experienced, buying a better condenser mic, like something like a U87, U87s are not forgiving.
No.
If you don't have a good sound coming out of whatever your sound source is, if it's your mouth, if it's an instrument, it will go straight into that mic and straight into your feed.
Yep.
But yeah.
Liberty Dude, big recommend for the Earthworks Ethos. Well, it's at this discounted $3.99 price. I'm still convinced it'll return. I'm buying one when I've got some money coming in, and I'm going to be picking up an Earthworks Ethos just because I like to avoid buying microphones to review for the most part because I don't need any, and I want to save my money for stuff that I would like to use. Like I bought an MKH 416. I'm willing to pay that because this is my favorite mic of all time.
Yeah, you want it to be your daily driver.
Right. And I don't want to spend $399 US, by the way, which is like close to $500 Canadian on a microphone I'm never going to use.
Speaking of daily drivers, I got to ask because we haven't had a stream since this happened. How do you like having the audio fuse back?
You know what? I forgot how many quirks this thing has with my system.
Mm-hmm.
Did it get quirky with your system?
No, and again, I only really installed it on a freshly imaged. But that said, I mean, these corporate machines are locked down like crazy. So the fact that it worked without any issues, I was actually kind of impressed by.
So it's quirky in the way, like when I reboot my computer, I have to turn the interface off every time I go to bed. Because if I just leave it on and I reboot, my interface won't be working for some reason. So I have to
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll look and just, you go to play something, nothing comes out, and you're like, for crying out loud. So you got to reboot it. Then there's, like, I started having problems with crashing when I put the Audio Fuse Studio, and I'm pretty sure it's the Ryzen. It's not, it's Ryzen and Audio Fuse Studio. So I am planning on expanding with a Mac Mini, the new M2s, over the next few months. And I think the Audio Fuse Studio is going to be moved over there. I'm not sure because I've got a bunch of interfaces. I've got the Rodecaster Pro 2. And I kind of want to start utilizing more of those. And I'm not exactly sure why I'm holding on to some of them, because there's no comparison. You don't compare the two of them together, right? So I don't know. I'll see what I can do. Tiger Stripes. Someone else bought one to purchase based on your video. It's contagious. I like it, but I'm having trouble downloading the free mixer from Samson. I would love to help you, but Samson doesn't talk to me anymore after I did some things over their mics. They don't like how I treated their Q9U and Q9X. However, I don't like the fact that they sent them to me. So, Zilla Mike, hey, you should try the TLM67. I'm currently saving my money for it. I would love to. If Neumann has a contact and they're willing to send me mics, I will be happy.
I highly doubt Neumann will be interested in.
No, they have nothing to set. Like, I mean, they're like,
I will never say never. You can never. Nobody can get mad at you for asking the question, right?
Well, this is why I had the partnership with Long and McQuaid, because if they had a mic in, they would just lend it to me, and I'll bring it back in a couple days, and we're good. The problem is Long and McQuaid is on the other side of Ottawa. The one I was dealing with is literally about. No, it's in Hunt Club.
Oh, yeah, the main one.
So it's literally like I'm driving across the city. It takes me 45 minutes to get there.
You've got to drive through the downtown cluster hell.
Pain.
Yeah.
Streaming on YouTube, live production on other channels. For streaming on YouTube and live production on other channels. Okay, so if you're talking about live production, son, don't get a Mackie. But if you want an interface, cheap is going to be rough, man. Like, I would maybe look at the Tascam, or even the original Rodecaster Pro 2 you can find used. That would be a great idea for a mixer for doing that kind of stuff. The Rodecaster Pro 2 is still prohibitively expensive, but the Tascam Mixcast 4 is a fantastic buy, and they have come down in price since.
Honestly, I as far as features in an interface, just to piggyback on what Aiden's saying, I would look for interfaces that have integrated DSP processing.
I think he wants a mixer.
Yeah, which is ideal because mixers obviously have integrated processing.
Yeah.
To a certain degree. And it's funny, when we were talking about live production, I said in my head, I'm like, I wonder if they're talking about like streaming and stuff like that kind of live.
See, I look at live production, I think music, right? Like,
yeah, right. That's same here. Like, my brain goes there immediately, but I'm like, no, there are other kinds of live production. But yeah, I would look for things, either interfaces or mixers. I get it that you want a mixer because you want that tactile control. You want to be able to quickly do stuff. In an interface, you can't really do that. And so that's the thing. You can, but it's not quick and it's not easy compared to having a physical control that you can, twist with your fingers. So I get the mixer instance in that case. So that said, the Pro FX, the Mackie, it's a good option.
Yeah, it's just like you can't multi-track with it. So I guess live, if you're going live, you don't have to worry about multi-track. So there's always that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sean, I just got to say hi. Timothy says, I believe I can get better audio with an SM58 in my semi-treated space than some audiobooks I've listened to on Audible.
100%.
Some 100%. Audiobooks, you know that they shove the microphone up their butt before
Which
they start
is so
recording.
funny because Aiden, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had me help you out with looking at some audio, and the requirements are pretty strict.
Yeah. But just from a depth perspective, they're strict, but they're not quality perspective.
It's
Like,
true.
Like they're like
all about measurements.
Yeah, and they're mathematical audio measurements that they require, but none of them
like,
says you can't have reverb. Like none of them say that,
which is stupid because
yeah.
And I have heard a series of Audible books that are totally atrocious. So 100% you can get better audio in a 58 in a semi-treated space than the audiobooks. 100%.
Yeah, Joey says Rode is savage. I hate that word, by the way. They released the Mark 1, the rest of the industry scrambled to get their product out, then drop their Mark 2 that implements all of the improvements. And this is what I'm saying. If any of those companies, if Zoom, Tascam had just sat back and went, all right, give that a little bit to age and we'll put out an updated version that Rode can't touch. We'll even do the aluminum body. We'll do it all. But none of them did that. They just scrambled to try to beat up Rode at their own game, and Rode was probably developing the second Rodecaster Pro while the Rodecaster Pro 1 was still in production. They already knew what they were moving towards. So
here's the thing. I will draw an analogy. So with software, you can do what they're doing and rush your product to market because you can patch software.
Yeah.
But with hardware, and some people would say, well, they'll just revise. Here's the thing. If I buy a product from a company and it's a shitty product, I'm never buying from that company again. I don't care if they make it better in the next generation. I have officially, in my head, blacklisted that company. A great version of that, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say this out loud, PreSonus, you're dead in my head.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You're dead in my head because in my experience, PreSonus, if you're listening, your quality control is terrible.
Yeah.
So please work on that if you haven't started to do that already. And I say that not to be an ass. I say that as a genuine, I hope you get better critique.
Yeah. No kidding. I got a newbie question. This is Mr. Big Man Games. I'm new to XLR mics. Is it safe to unplug audio cable with phantom power on?
Nope.
So I actually did this video that very few people have watched, which I still to this day blows my mind that me destroying a condenser microphone with a hammer has not gone somewhat viral. But I did that in the video where I plug and unplug it. Most of the time, like 99% of the time, your mic is going to be fine. 99% of the time. That 1% of the time, though, it's going to fry your mic.
It's so, and something to understand about how phantom power works is phantom power is a ramp up, ramp down. It's capacitor based. So when you flip 48 volts, and anyone who's got an old analog mixer with a phantom power switch would know this, because you notice when you turn phantom power on, and if you turn it off, that little phantom power light stays lit for like 30 seconds.
Yep.
And it gradually goes down. And there's a reason that gentle ramp up and ramp down of that 48 volt rail that is much gentler on the circuitry of the mic. If you just unplug it without turning that off and letting it ramp down first, you're getting a chance of a voltage spike when you do that, depending on if the cable has a short in it, you might get like, 48 volt dips down and then jumps up. And I have known people that have actually killed pretty well-known microphones, both expensive and cheap, doing that. Yeah. So do yourself a favor. Do not do that.
Yeah,
just switch it off.
Just turn it off.
Wait like 30 seconds after you switch it off. Then it's probably safe to unplug it.
Now, if you do it accidentally,
it's not a big deal.
It'll like I said, 99 out of 100. You could be the unluckiest son of a bitch ever.
But don't feel bad if you've done it and it's done you well, but don't bank on it. Because that one time that you need it to work and you did that and it's not going to work and you're going to go, why doesn't it work? And you probably fried it.
Liberty Dude has a good point. I got to get going here soon, but it says for live streaming, would the new USB Rode X Dynamic with DSP be a good option? Possibly. There is, it's digital. Everything's digital. It's USB. Relatively cheap for what you get. And depending on what you're streaming, if you're a game streamer, the new Rode USB mics are pretty fantastic. You check that out. Big Man Games, if you use XLR mic, doesn't need phantom power and turn the power, will it be okay? No. Dynamic mics, and this is funny because I got there's a lot of people commenting on where I removed the transformer from the SM58, Dylan. A lot of people are like, well, now you're going to wreck it if you turn phantom on. No, that's still not how that. No, that's not how that works. No, we're okay. Thank you. Okay, thanks for coming out, guys. Have a good day.
Wait. So hang on. What did somebody say?
that I would wreck my SM58 after I removed the transformer if I turned Phantom on.
Okay, so there is some truth to that, and I'll explain why. So in a nutshell, because we're not going to go into the electrical engineering behind
I
this,
understand the electrical engineer. Well, for everyone else, yeah.
that and if your cabling is all wired up perfectly and there's no shorts in your cables and there's no break-in shield and all of those things, and you've got a perfectly pristine environment and you unplug it from a 58, you're probably fine. But if your cable is not wired properly, for one, or pins are crossed, or there's a pin that's, or you have a ground lift cable, for example.
I understand that, but for the most part, most dynamics that don't have transformers in them, you don't hurt them when you turn Phantom on or turn Phantom off.
Yes, generally, yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's a 99 out of 100, but so no Phantom power.
I still would be sure to unplug the mic after Phantom is off, even though it's it's more or less impervious.
Oh, I'm just talking about turning Phantom on. They're saying that it'll blow the mic up. No, it won't.
No,
it will not.
I mean, if you had a ribbon mic,
that
would
is
be a different story.
I was going to say that the only microphone that reacts poorly to Phantom power is going to be a ribbon mic.
And even then, there are a lot of ribbon mics these days. Like, for example, a lot of Cloud's ribbon mics that they've released in the last many years that are basically active ribbon mics, like the AR5 that I gave you, which basically have an integrated cloud lifter. They literally need Phantom power to run.
Yeah. But those ones are safe.
And therefore, they're impervious. But a classic ribbon mic, like the kind that need like 85 dB of gain, do not put Phantom power through one of those. You will 100% snap the ribbon, 100%.
Midnight Wolf, Dylan, since I got the Focusrite Scarlett, I miss the EQ on my Yamaha mixer. It has an alive environment. Translating it to the PC is a struggle for me because of how I'm used to things. You can get used to things, but I get it. I get it 100%.
And I'm not going to lie, since Mackie, pretty much since their Onyx preamps that they adopted probably 15 years ago now, their EQs on their boards are actually surprisingly musical.
Yeah.
They're not amazing. They're still 4-band EQs, 3-band in some cases. But they're compared to some, like, if you compare it to an EQ on a Behringer channel strip, it's not a contest. I mean, the Mackie EQs are actually decent for the fact they come built into relatively cheap mixers.
Yeah. Simons, this is the last one I got to go. Thoughts on Mogami XLR versus WC XLRs using Mogami. Mogami XLR is garbage. You don't need a Mogami cable. Now,
it's not garbage. They're good cables.
They're good cables.
They're overpriced, but you don't need them. You don't need them.
Versus WBC XLRs using Mogami. I have no idea what that is, but I will say, if you're paying more than $30 for a cable, depending on length, that is, for an average 10-foot XLR cable, if you're paying more than $30, there's somebody lining their pocket and laughing at you. Unless you're professional, because I will say there is reason for Mogami. Like if you're on the road, if you're a musician going city to city and you have roadies wrapping up your cables, having stuff like a Mogami or something that is pro is a good idea because it's meant to take abuse. But
so in a studio environment, so I'll tell you, when I'm budgeting for a studio to put together a patch bay, and studios these days never use TRS patch bays, by the way. That's all TT, Bantam. And so if ever I need to buy Bantam patch cables, Mogami only. I will only buy Mogami because I don't want to have to fuck around with those cables. I want to plug them in and have them work. And especially if you're buying 100 cables, you don't want to have to be guessing whether or not one cable is going to work when you plug it in, and you don't want to have to test them all the time. So in that, and that's a very narrow use case, but most of the other time, I would agree with Aiden that you don't need to go there.
But that's the thing, like you're on the road and you plug in a guitar, you need to know your guitar is going to, you can't just run out to the music store in the city you're in and grab another cable. So there is a place in audio for Mogami and the $200 cables. It's probably not your basement studio though. It's probably not.
Just to respond to Joey's comment, so I make my own cables. I'm very good at it. I've been doing it a long time, and just because it's easier to make my custom lengths and it's way cheaper. However, there is a certain knowledge base required, and I'm not being pretentious about it. It's a learning curve. Both the soldering skill, which in and of itself is a skill set that you have to hone over time, and the actual things that you have to pay attention to with making a cable in order to make sure that that cable is robust enough to be able to use it outside of your home. So I wouldn't recommend to someone who's never soldered anything before to make their own cables, because that is a steep learning curve and a lot of
if you want to
areas.
learn, and this is something I took this from my father-in-law, grab an old PC or something old that has a circuit board in it and
I just
practice.
unsolder shit.
And that's what I've been doing. I've been like really honing my skill, like unsoldering, resoldering, throwing random like shit on. So I grabbed a bunch of resistors. And
Or something else you can do if you don't have something like that lying around. If you have shitty cables that are broken, find the point in the cable where the break is, cut it off, buy a connector for $5, and try to attach it. Try to fix a broken. I've done that where I've had a broken XLR and I've turned it into 2 smaller functional XLRs, and that's a kind of a good way to get your feet wet without spending $300 or $500 on a bunch of bulk cable.
Especially if you're going to throw it away anyways.
Well, that's it. Like I've got a bunch of spools of, color coded like microphone cable, and each one of those rolls, each one of those spools cost me about $1,000. But I'm okay with doing it because I know what I'm doing. I made enough cables and I've screwed up enough to know what not to do. And so I'm comfortable dropping all that money. Same thing with connectors, like Neutrik connectors, which I wouldn't suggest you use anything other than that. For cables, especially for their really nice strain relief that they have on the near the tip.
The strain relief at all.
Those are going to be $5 a connector, give or take. And you need 2 to make a cable. So right there, that's $10.
Yep.
For one cable, and that's not including the cable. That's not including the solder, the flux, the actual iron. There's a lot of other things you're going to need to do that. So yeah.
All right, guys. Cheers. Thanks for coming. This was over an hour. Look at us. Like, my ass is so sore though. I appreciate you guys coming out. We'll be here next week. Have yourself a great weekend, and we'll see you then.
Howdy. Sorry, I was